Warning, please read at least Misaki's route in the original Aokana before watching this video as it contains spoilers relating to it and minor spoilers from Extra 2. You have been warned. I need these boots to grow wings, man. Now, obviously from the thumbnail, you can deduce that Aokana Extra 2 is the after story for Misaki's route based on the original Aokana. And surprisingly, it's not just a wholesome add-on like we got for Mashiro in Extra 1. In Extra 2, the story progresses right after the fall tournament that occurred in her original route, but Misaki now is facing an internal conflict with herself in order to find meaning in playing FC, since she's no longer motivated by it as a result of winning the fall tournament. In this story, Misaki is faced with new challenges. Literally. I mean, do you see this and this? Man. So yes, this VN is an after story for Misaki that further solidifies her relationship with Masaya and finds a new goal in life for herself. Playtime. Well, I would say just nice, not too long or too short, with my recorded playtime being around 7.6 hours or 7 hours and 36 minutes recorded on Steam. Text speed during my reading is all the way up to the right as usual, and the average playtime shown in VNDB though is around 10 hours. Same characters as the prequel here. If you want to know more about their base personalities, then you can watch my review on the OG Aokana linked up there. But let's explore a bit more in this VN. So we have the determined protagonist, the mischievous cat, this waifu being this waifu, the clingy kohai, and the underrated real waifu. These three are pretty much the same as they were in the prequel, so I don't need to explain them. But let's talk about the MC. As I mentioned, he's determined because he found his resolve to play FC again. And it was further developed in this VN through Misaki's influence as well as his involvement with FC matches despite being just a second. However, Masaya's character takes a bit of a backseat here, so there's not much development as shown from before, but the result is just so good that I don't mind. It is understandable really, because Misaki is the focus of the story. Speaking of the cat, someone get me this cat, please. Other than that, the desire to find her calling after her victory is not something that's generally relatable to people that win, but considering her background, it fits. Misaki trying to find FC's worth is understandable because she's a prodigy. Whatever she does, she excels. So it's not uncommon for people like her to not be motivated, and the story explores her character in that aspect and develops it. Her character in this after story really shows why she's the best girl among the main characters, okay? Among the main characters. As for the side characters, the point of no return, the menacing role model, the caring musclehead brother, the admirable musclehead brother, the cheeky forbidden fruit, my MILF, and yes. Holy f***. Yes. Sadly, some characters don't appear again though. Like... But they were at least shown as illustrations though. And it's fascinating that way because their names are mentioned throughout the story several times, even when they're not in the story. It just shows how impactful they were as characters to the plot. They're pretty similar just like the prequels. It gives off the Aokana vibe, so there's nothing much to actually talk about, except for this page. This page is an insult to voice acting. The sprites in-game also move just like Extra 1, not as much, but it's there at least. And this is something I forgot to say in past reviews, which is when the music changes, there's a small pop-up on the top right that indicates which song it's switched to. I like that because I'm a big fan of OSTs. And as per the usual Aokana, you can listen back to them here in the extras, then gallery page. This page is looking a little empty, by the way. Just saying, sprite. Oh yeah, you also get a page for the FC matches, just like in the original Aokana, but with names instead of just pictures. Small but appreciated improvement. And of course, the sprite viewer. On a side note, the visuals and the music while most of them are similar, I would say that they are still a step up when compared to the prequels. One scene I want to point out for visuals is this. It gives me a whole new appreciation for Sato-kun. Oh, sorry, Satoin. Another thing I appreciate about the visuals is how more badass the characters look in the CGs for the FC matches. Look at these examples. LED eyes for the f***ing win. They remind me of the zone moments from Kuroko no Basuke. As for the English translation, I didn't encounter any typos or grammatical mistakes, so thanks, Nekonian. However, there is a mistake in this page, which I will reveal to you in the next related section. Now, Aokana Extra 2 is a kinetic vision novel, no choices, and it's a linear plot, obviously, with several chapter transitions. Provided that there are no choices, this option here serves no purpose. Sprite became like Alice in Dissonance. As for the story structure itself, I just think that the orgasm phase in this VN is a bit too stretched, which I will explain later on. Well, the story in Aokana Extra 2 is not just for fan service, depending on the context. Like romance moments, moe moe, and sex. It has an actual plot, with actual progression, through both the eyes of Masaya and Misaki. The journey of both these characters to find the reason why they should continue to play FC is nice to read. You can see a sense of mutualism between the MC and the FMC, on how both of them affect and benefit each other. Seeing that Misaki won the fall tournament in the prequel, this VN after story explores on the aftermath of that. I mean, normally we get to read a story of how a character develops by chasing someone who is stronger, as shown in the original Aokana, but here we get to see how a character grows by being the quote-unquote strongest. It's a story through the eyes of the winner to see what finally happens when everyone else is sharpening their knives to stab you, figuratively speaking. Basically, what I said means when everyone else is aiming to beat Misaki since she won the previous tournament, therefore she's considered to be the best now. As a result, everyone's new goal is now her, except she herself doesn't have one. That's why the story coincides beautifully, which revolves around Misaki's character in order for her to find out what she wants to do. Oh, and the scenes of the two being lovey-dovey is mostly balanced with the normal and or serious scenes like hanging out with friends or FC matches. Though there is a moment when these lovey-dovey scenes mixed up with FC scenes which felt out of place to me. But some other scenes, some other moments that did mix these two atmospheres shined particularly well. I mean, perfectly. It was quite shocking. Thanks to the developers for surprising me with the writing. Speaking of the FC scenes, the matches themselves are good overall, but some are less exciting than others due to the pacing of the story itself. For example, we have like 3 FC matches in the orgasm phase alone, which is why I said that this part is a bit too stretched, because there's a lot to digest there. However, the pacing of the story in other parts is good. Character interaction is also good. Standard Aokana level, so lovely. I don't need to talk about it. As for the ending, I just think that it's perfect the way it is, objectively speaking. But subjectively, it could have been better. How? Next section. Firstly, let's talk about the bad stuff. And there isn't anything major that I don't like in this VN. Though I would say that I particularly didn't like the order of the 3 matches in the orgasm phase. Like, the first match gave off the most suspense and excitement, with the second match being the weakest. As a result, I didn't really enjoy the second match as much, not because of the match itself, but rather due to the flow. And it's a shame actually, because I was looking forward to the second match the most due to the character involved. Now, this is just my opinion, but I honestly would have preferred that Sprite switched positions of the first and second matches in order to build up the orgasm. Speaking of orgasm, in this VN, we are lacking. There's not enough! Heck, even Satoin said it, and it's still not enough. Well, at least Botan has voice lines, unlike Best Girl. Please don't dislike this video, guys. Speaking of Best Girl, I did mention that she was shown just as illustrations, and the fact that the ending could be better. So I'm gonna nag. I just wish that there was at least one actual scene of her, which could be more impactful considering how the story ended. I felt that it was a missed opportunity there to not have Aoi Sensei seeing what the MC has become. Besides that, this character, Okose Arika, she just feels off. It's like she's forced to be in this story. I find her to be more annoying now, and that's saying something because I did not find her to be annoying in Extra 1 and only a bit of a nuisance in the original. She doesn't feel like a relevant character of any significance other than some weird fetish moment for another character. Speaking of which, thank God they developed Ganeko Mayu in this story. She's weird, but she's just amazing. Menacing, intimidating, badass, the whole shebang. The waifu that I asked for since the OG Aokana has finally gotten her own spotlight. And not just that, we also got our cute and adorable Minamo here. I'm so grateful that her character also gets the time to shine in the story. She's the kawaii waifu that we must protect, but don't let her shyness and timidness fool you. She can be a real intimidating menace in FC matches, and thank God for that. Then, Sato-kun. Isn't she adorable? I like her character even more now, but considering some peeps have asked for her route, when I read the story, I think it's best to just leave her be, just like our Forbidden Fruit here. Still, great character. And speaking of the Forbidden Fruit, I thought that her character didn't have that much screen time and therefore couldn't show her consistency of her personality. But then the epilogue happened and my Madoka meter was satisfied. One other thing I love about Aokana is the humor, especially when it involves these two. And hilariously, a new member joined the party.
わかりましたから。酔っ払うものはちょっと。進藤は腹斜筋に自信がないのか？どれ？ちょっと。
Oh, and Hayato getting his own background in the story is also something that I appreciate because it shows how formidable he was back in his prime, just like Best Girl. But the character that impacted me the most in this story is Shion. Holy hell, his character is just goddamn amazing, especially in the climax. He made my eyes turn watery. I mean, you could feel his determination and resolve to win. His match is the best FC match I've read in the series, hands down. Glad to see that Sprite worked and developed on the other side characters. Lastly, my personal favorite thing of the whole series happened in this VN. It's what I've been asking for since I've read Aokana, and that involves the MC. Now, for major spoiler reasons, I won't get into it, but I just want to say that I fucking screamed and fangirled all over myself when I read certain scenes of Masaya. But of course, the best moments are the fun parts. Moving on! Number 1, we have a bit of a foreplay from down there looking upwards, and then a face-on position where they face each other while sitting. And then number 2, we will have a foreplay from behind and then regular missionary position. And lastly, we have a fella with a standard standing position. Now, those horny bonkers might slide into my DMs saying that horny is not required in this story. While one scene gives off a regular fan service, I would say that the other scenes felt more impactful to the story a bit, as a sign of Misaki's character growth, especially the second scene. It shows her resolve to win, you know. Not everything in this after story is just about winning in FC. The determination to win in bed is also critical. So yeah, they're vanilla and wholesome scenes, so feel free to relieve yourselves to them. As a conclusion, Aokana Extra 2 is a great addition to Misaki's route. It won't just be a lovey-dovey plot like Extra 1, which is understandable considering the characters themselves, but this VN feels like a proper sequel to not just Misaki's route, but the story overall. You get characters that are redeemed and given their own spotlight, nice humor, great character interaction, and FC matches again, which shows why Aokana is Aokana, though not without major drawbacks as mentioned, which could be improved on. Regardless, I believe that this VN gets a Degen score of 9. For those that like Misaki, I don't really need to recommend it, but for those that disagree with her, I think this after story redeems the cat girl. Oh yeah, introductory discount is until the 5th though. But if you do get it there, you need to get the uncensored patch from Nekonyan's website, because Steam apparently doesn't know how to appreciate visual novels. Anyway, thanks Sprite for this VN. You guys gave me a lot of what I asked for since the prequels. And that's all from me. Make sure you guys to like and subscribe if you find my content degenerate enough. Later, gens.